In this movie, we're going to delve into grouping. We'll call it Grouping Part 1, where we get into the fundamentals of the grouping function in Crystal. Using Report 2, the same report that we've been creating for these lessons, quickly reviewing, we chose division and office name for our two principal groups when we created the report. Grouping, you'll notice, has kind of a hierarchical function. This function makes sense in certain order. Obviously, the offices roll up into division, and division rolls up into the entire company. Now, Crystal will let you sort them and group them in any order you see fit. Whether you should or not, I'll leave that to you. Let's go ahead and click on the Design tab. This is where our rough report layout comes into play. Notice we have a group header 1, which is from the office table, division field, and the group header 2 from the office table as well, but office name being the field. That -A after each one means that they've been sorted in the default ascending. Now, groups can be swapped around, changed, added, deleted as you see fit. For example, if I wanted office name ahead of division, I would simply drag my mouse over to group header 2, click and hold. Notice how the area becomes grayed out and a hand replaces the pointer. I can drag that up and notice the blue lines that follow me and release. Now my office name is ahead of office division. Let's go ahead and look at the preview. Now my drill down menu has also changed. For example, Arizona just has one division under it, which would always be West. Now, the good thing about Crystal is being a Windows-based product, before you save this report, if you hit Control-Z, it'll switch it back for you. Let's go ahead and hit the Design tab again. Now, grouping comes with a lot of options. It makes it a very flexible tool in Crystal. Go ahead and right-click the group header 2. We'll get our menu, and this time we're going to choose Change Group. This brings up the Change Group Options window. Notice we have office by office name, that's the field that we're choosing to group by, and this is the order in which we find it. Go ahead and click on the order. This is the list of choices that Crystal gives us for this type of field. We have ascending order, means alphanumeric, in descending order, alphanumeric, in specified order, which we'll delve into shortly, and in original order. Now, sometimes it's taken for granted that people assume a database is always in alphanumeric order. Unfortunately, usually that's not the case. It's usually in primary key order, if you will. Primary key is a unique number identifier the database uses to identify specific records occurring at a certain time, and it keeps the database in order as there can only be one of each. So, for example, if you chose in original order, if you were lucky, you'd probably get it in straight alphanumeric. However, if it's ordered by key, which is the database order, if you will, the order that makes sense to the database, you'd get something that's not quite all there. Usually, ascending and descending are pretty safe bets. However, Crystal couldn't leave it at that. In fact, they developed something called specified order, which we're going to choose right now. When you choose this option, you get a new tab called specified order. Quickly, if you just want to choose the order in which the items are grouped on your report, you hit the drop-down box and choose the option. So I'm going to choose Corporate HQ, Alaska, Charlotte. This tells me what I want to see first. For example, if I wanted Charlotte above HQ, I'd highlight Charlotte and hit the up arrow. If I wanted Corporate HQ, again, I'd highlight and hit the up arrow. Now that you've chosen what you want to see first, you have to deal with what's left. For example, if I click on the Others tab, I can discard all of them. That doesn't mean delete, it just means they won't show up on your report. I can put them all together with the name Others or whatever name I specify, or I can leave in their own groups. Now, you have to be kind of careful with these groups. If you have to do this just for a few special cases, it's not bad. But if you're forced to maintain specific groups, this can kind of become a manual and tedious task. Go ahead and press OK. And let's see the results of our handiwork. Go ahead and click the Preview tab. Let's go ahead and click West. Notice my Corporate HQ, my Arizona and Hawaii, now show up on the report. And on the Eastern region, my Charlotte shows up first. Again, that is what we consider kind of a manual grouping, as opposed to just finding what's in the database and grouping, and by ascending or descending, or database order, you get to choose the order yourself. You can choose what shows up first, what's last. You can create a list a mile long if you feel like it. There are other options in groups too that we need to explore. So go ahead and click on the Design view, right-click on Office Name, but also notice the name is now provided by a -S, meaning it is in specified order. Go ahead and change group, click on specified order, and click on Corporate HQ. Now that that's highlighted, click on Edit. This brings up the Define Name Group window. This allows you to change the name of the group as you see fit. We'll call it Corporate Main, and then it gives you all these options. You can leave it is equal to, or is any value, is not equal to, is one of, is not one of, so on and so forth. In this case, let's fall back on the one we know and have covered in this course, is one of. This one allows you to choose from the drop-down box, or even type in manually, all the offices you like to see in a group called Corporate Main. Go ahead and press OK. Now you have to be careful. If you've created a Uber group like Corporate Main manually, and Charlotte or Alaska is in one of them, the first one that appears will win. Go ahead and press OK. If I click on the Preview tab, in the West Division, I have a Corporate Main. Again, these are groups that I've created myself. In the next lesson, we'll get into grouping by different types of fields. We're going to continue along our exploration of the grouping function in Crystal. We've already learned how to sort our groups, organize our groups, even specify the exact order that we need. But now let's talk about different types of fields. Go ahead and click on the Design tab. And let's go ahead and right-click on our Group Header 2. Choose Change Group, and notice how we have a specified order. In this case, we're going to change the name, and we're going to choose Revenue Date. Now notice the revenue date, although we changed it, is still in specified order. A specified order that doesn't make sense. In the previous example, we were looking at office names, and I guarantee you the date field is not going to look anything like those office names. So let's go ahead and choose in ascending order. Now you also have in specified order, in original order, same as before. Specified order with dates is a little tricky because for every day you can choose that as an actual order, which means you'll be spending a lot of time creating lists. It's easier to say is ascending or descending. In addition to our standard 4 options, dates allow us to group even further. In some cases, if you have large amounts of transactions, millions a day let's say, it would make sense, in this case, to see 1,000,000 transactions standing in front of you per day as a group. We can click this menu here. This gives us for each day, for each week, for each 2 weeks, each half month, quarter, half year, etc., etc. We even get down to the second or minute, AM, PM, depending on the type of transactions you're looking to group by. Now, Crystal uses the standard Gregorian calendar month, meaning there's no special broadcast calendar or ISO calendar that you'd have to use a formula for, which we'll get into later. In this case, let's go ahead and choose each year and press OK. Go ahead and click on the Preview tab so we can see our handiwork. Notice we still have our main groups, our Group 1, East and West, and then we have years. And this organizes the data by year for me. For example, if I want to see 2000, this will take me straight to 2000. Now let's make our lives a little bit easier here. Let's take our mouse, put it in the D of the Details section over here, and right-click. And let's go ahead and hit Suppress No Drill Down. Now what we've got is a grouping by division first, and then by year after that. And notice our Summarize field, which is revenue amount, for each year. This is all, of course, based on the groupings that make sense to us and the purpose we intend to use the report for. If I was using a detailed report, obviously I'd probably stick to the more simple data format with all the details for a specific period. If I was looking to summarize the data for an exec, I would probably use something like this. Of course, we're not quite there yet in terms of being an actual readable, usable report, but we're getting closer. The only thing to remember about groups is, go ahead and click on the Design tab, they can be as complicated or simple as you design. For example, if I needed to insert a group, I would simply go up to the Insert menu, like so, click, and choose Group. From here, I would choose Office Name, let's say, and we'll leave it in ascending order, not make it too complicated, and press OK. Notice how it inserts an office name. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to right-click on the Revenue Amount Summary field, copy, and paste, and drag my mouse where I want it to paste, and simply click. This will make a little more sense in a little bit. I'm also going to copy this name up here and paste it next to my revenue amounts. Notice the simple drag and drop functionality. Now, we haven't really cleaned it up or lined it up yet, but this should illustrate the point. Now, my years have additional drill downs as well. Notice in 1999 on the East Coast, my only office was Charlotte. And as I scroll down to 2002, it was Charlotte and Tennessee, and then Charlotte, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. And then of course I get a nice little summary here by year of what I'm looking at. Now you can jump around the report by clicking on Charlotte and the year or whatever you happen to be looking for. That pretty much sums up the basics of grouping. You can experiment around and choose what works for you or what works best, just knowing that you can change any order to pretty much anything you can imagine.